Hey neighbor, hope you're doing well. Here we are in January and we've already had the shortest day of the year. So we're on an uptick now. And of course, we always get excited about gardening. Come January, we're thinking about the new year and what all we're gonna do and new things we're gonna grow. Excited that we have the opportunity to garden again. You know, January for us is a good month. We're still harvesting a lot of things. Man, look at these carrots right here that we're harvesting. I grew these in a raised bed, and I can honestly say this is the best carrot crop I've ever had. I think that growing these carrots, the trick to this is growing them in a raised bed with some good, organic, soft, top quality soil. But anyhow, we got collards, kale, onions, radishes, beets, you name it. I mean, we're enjoying all kind of things out of the garden, even mustard and turnips and rutabagas. But being it's the new year, we're thinking about what we're going to do, what we need to be doing. Here it is January, 1st of January. So if you didn't know, we're located in South Georgia in Zone 9A, and we grow food year round. So subscribe to our channel if you want to follow along with what we're doing now to successfully grow your own food year round. January is a time for us to start our spring brassicas. Now, if you don't know what a brassica is, which it's okay if you don't, it's most things that are leafy greens. Mustard, turnips, rutabagas, broccoli, cauliflower, collards, Brussels sprouts. All those are considered brassicas. And we say brassicas a lot. That's what we're talking about, that class of leafy greens. Well, we mostly enjoy growing those in the fall of the year. And I do enjoy growing them in early spring. And that's what I want to do today is I'm going to plant my early spring crop of brassicas in the greenhouse, the things that I transplant, not the things that I direct seed. So I have them coming off for early spring. Now the reality is I don't get real excited about brassicas on up in the springtime because my mind is focusing more on tomatoes and peppers and eggplants and those warm season crops. But early spring is a good time to get another rotation, another planting of those brassicas in so we can enjoy them early spring before our warm season crops come in. Of course, we grow plenty of them in the fall, and you know, I do enjoy growing more in the fall because we get that cold weather on this time of the year, and it's cold, and it's just a good time to be cooking up that big pot of collards and turnips and kale and things like that. But we can also have them in the springtime as well. So we're going to plant these today in the greenhouse. All right, so there are some of the brassicas we direct seed, and there are some of the ones we grow as transplants we transplant in the garden. Now, I'll go over what I do and what I've been successful with. Things such as collards, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, all those, kale, Kohlrabi, I like to grow as transplant and transplant in my garden. Now the things that I direct seed in the brassica family is going to be mustards for the most part. Now I have worked with transplanting some of the Savannah mustard before. I actually got a little batch going on now. So Savannah mustard could kind of go either way. Most of the time you want to direct seed those. Turnips we direct seed, rutabagas we direct seed. Any of those type we direct seed, and we plant them pretty thick because that's just best for it. Now, as far as the ones I transplant, for me, I can grow a transplant out in the greenhouse in the brassica family in about 4 to 5 weeks, just about every time. I've been doing it a while, and that's my rule of thumb is 4 to 5 weeks. But we're going to go over today what trays that we use and what trays you might could use according to your garden setup. All right, first tray let's go over is a 338 tray, and as it implies here, there's 338 of these cells in this one tray. Now I talk to a lot of commercial growers all the time, and every one of them will tell you the consensus is everybody in the commercial ag grows brassicas in a 338 tray. It is just an ideal tray to do a lot of brassicas in. These trays are kind of small here, but they work perfect for brassicas, and you can grow them in pretty easy in 4 to 5 weeks. But there's 338 in here. Now, one reason that commercial guys like this so much is it doesn't take a lot of soil for the amount of plants they grow, and they can regulate, because they have all these automated systems, they can regulate so they don't ever have to worry about them drying out or anything like that. They got everything perfect for them. and they grow these plants off in these 338 trays, and it's the most economical, fastest way to grow off brassicas. Now the second tray I want to show you is the 162 tray. The 162 tray and the 338 tray is the same dimensions as far as the outside dimensions of the tray, and they are the same thickness also. The difference is the cell size. As you can imagine, the cell size here is almost twice as big as what a 338 is. So it takes nearly twice as much soil for the 162 as it does the 338. And you're growing a little bit more than half of the plants in this 162. None, I say none, just about none of the commercial growers grow brassicas in this 162 because it's not feasible for them. However, for me, as a home gardener, it works pretty doggone good, and I'll tell you the reason why. With twice the amount of soil in this right here, this is more forgiving for me. So imagine how much more soil is in here and how much more water holding capacity I got on a 162 than I do a 338. Therefore, if my plants get drier, these are going to hold up better because it's going to have more water holding capacity, more water holding capacity in these 162s and the 338. So if it gets a hot dry day and I have plenty to do and I forget to come out here and hand water, because that's what I have to do, my plants, these 162s are going to hold up better than the 338. The 338 could dry out and die quicker than the 162. It's going to take you a little bit longer to grow in on these 162s because you got more area there that you got to grow these roots into before you can pull them out and then be completely rooted in. But for me, for a average person that doesn't have all this automated equipment, I have to rely on hand watering, but yet I like to grow a decent amount of plants. The 162 is perfect for me for growing brassicas. If you have automated systems or you're a full-time market farmer and you have better systems than might be what I do, the 338 would probably be your best bet as far as growing brassicas. All right, so let's say you're a container gardener, raised bed gardener, and you don't need 162 brassicas. Well, we have these 24 and 12 cell trays. Now these are a good bit bigger than a 162 cell, and it's going to take you longer to grow these in than it is to 162, but they're a lot smaller than a 162 and 338 trays. And this is going to be a good alternative for you guys that don't want to grow many plants. And of course, all these fit underneath our grow lights well also. Heavy duty plastic here, and I like growing these right here if I'm growing just a few varieties of something I'm wanting to trial out. But these are perfect for people that don't you know, if you just want 10 or 12 broccoli plants and maybe 10 or 12 cauliflower, this is a perfect system right here for you to use to grow out your brassicas. All right, so I have pre-filled my 162 tray here, and I like to water it several times because this seed starting mix here can be kind of hard to wet sometimes. So about every 15 minutes, I'll walk by here and water this seed starting mix when I fill my tray up. That way it's nice and moist when I get ready to plant. Now everybody's got their own way. I just take my fingers and run down through there and put me in indention inside of these little cells here. Now, this is going to hold 162 plugs. Do I want to plant 162 of one variety such as one type of broccoli? No, I do not. So what I'm going to do is plant several different varieties of things in this 162, and I'll use my garden markers there to separate them off. Now, with a lot of things, I normally don't recommend doing that, but with brassicas, they're all pretty much going to grow off the same. So I'm not going to have things that's going to be a lot taller and a lot shorter in this tray. If I plant it all in brassicas, they pretty much all going to grow off at the same time. So that works well for me for the 162 because I can grow pretty much everything I need for my spring brassica crop in one 162 tray. All right, so this is what I'm planting today, Morse heading collard. Now this is not my favorite collard. My favorite collard is going to be top chop and top bunch, but I like to switch it up every now and then. This is an old heirloom variety right here that has kind of a unique flavor for this is what I'm planting this spring. Now my friends up in North Carolina tell me up there they call this cabbage collards up there. But here in the South, we just refer to them as Morse heading collard here. It's a good one, good sweet variety, probably not the most productive one, but it is an heirloom It has a very sweet flavor to it. So I like to switch up and grow this one every now and then. And then I'm gonna plant my favorite old cabbage. Now, here again, most of the time I don't plant this cabbage here. I catch myself every 2 or 3 years planting this one. I plant Cheers a lot. I think it's a great variety, but this Charleston Wakefield is what I call a cone head cabbage. It has a little different shape to it there. You can see there. Man, this was probably the first cabbage I ever grown years ago. This, if you've never grown it before, has a very unique, smooth flavor to it that no other cabbage has. It is a great one. It's not the most productive one out there. Being an heirloom, there are better varieties out there for disease resistance. But I love going back to this one right here because it's got good memories to it. And I don't know if there's another cabbage out there that compares to it with flavor. Well, here is my favorite cauliflower that I'm planting today, Twister. This makes a big old cauliflower, but if you've ever grown cauliflowers before, you know we have trouble protecting that head from the sun. And this Twister is one of the unique cauliflowers that twists the leaves up around that cauliflower head and protects it. This is my go-to white cauliflower right here, is the Twister. And broccoli. We all love to grow broccoli. This one right here is Godzilla Broccoli. I don't plant this one all the time, but I plant it sometime. Ooh, the seed packs are running off into my water there. Godzilla Broccoli, I tell people, it's a bragging broccoli. If you want to grow that bigger head than everybody else, Godzilla's one. It's a great broccoli, grows a humongous broccoli head to it. Now, if I'm planting in early fall or I'm planting in late spring where it may be getting warm on my broccoli plants, I may go with another variety such as Green Magic. But in the winter time, early spring and late fall, Godzilla is a great choice there. Kohlrabi, we love growing Kohlrabi. Now Kohlrabi you can do both ways. You can direct seed or transplant. I catch myself doing transplants most of the time because I can control the spacing better. 45 days to maturity. This one's fairly quick here. It's a great variety. It's one of my go-to varieties as far as Kohlrabi goes. And another broccoli right here. Now this is a new broccoli for us this year. It's called Purple Magic Broccoli. It's not the deepest purple broccoli that we carry, but it is a good purple variety. And this variety right here is known to handle stress well and to handle heat well, which makes it a perfect one for us here in the South. It's a good variety that's going to, not take a lot of baby, and it's going to be easy to grow, especially for somebody that's never grown broccoli before. Of course, it being a purple broccoli, we love that color, and that purple lets us know that it's healthy for us, full of those antioxidants. All right, so on these brassicas, all these seeds are pretty consistent. They're small and round, and they can be a little aggravating to plant. What I find is I just pinch me some in between my two fingers and I just kind of roll them around, and a seed or 2 or 3 will come out of there and go into my tray. Don't get caught up and worried about just getting 1 per tray. If you get 2 or 3 in there, it's okay. We'll come back and thin those out after they come up. It's nearly impossible just to get 1 per tray, and it's okay if you don't. I try not to get more than 3 because I'm really wasting seeds at that point. All right, so we got all our seeds planted. We're just going to lightly cover these up with perlite. Perlite is my choice of material to cover my seedlings up with. If you don't have perlite, don't sweat it. You can use your regular potting soil. I just started using this a few years ago, and I seem to get a little bit of quicker, faster germination with the perlite. And we're going to water them in. Now this perlite can be a little fluffy and a little light, so I like to water it, wait about 5 to 10 minutes, water it again, and after that it starts holding moisture pretty well. All right, so I got 6 types of brassica planted in my 162 tray. It's going to be a good bit to get me started, come early spring. So here we are, 1st of January. It's going to take me about 4 to 5 weeks to grow these off. So I'm going to be about the middle of February having these plants ready to go into the garden. I put them into the garden, I harvest them early spring, and I get them out of the way so I can plant my warm season things on up into the springtime. I seem to get a lot more excited about my corn and stuff like that when it gets warmer weather, so we can get these out of the way and we can transition over. Now we won't start our peppers and our tomatoes till about the mid of February. I like to start my peppers around the 10th of February, and I like to start my tomatoes around the 15th of February. Sometimes spring crops of brassicas are overlooked, but it fills that void in between when our winter late fall crops are coming off and when we're going to plant and have those warm seasons. We still have plenty of things to enjoy in that garden. It's the mature stage that we can harvest come, March and April.